Hey everybody, Brandon Shiga here for cross-platform mobile development. I'm gonna go ahead and go over my app in the rubric here really quick. I didn't do anything for synchronization yet. I think synchronization is pretty much a given. As long as you're doing it correctly, anything that gets changed in the database should reflect on any device. So that I'm not too worried about. The polling, though, I don't have anything. I don't have like a manual way to refresh. If you click contact list again, it will pull new data, but I don't have like a pull down or automatic or anything like that yet. So that's the only thing I really have to do. And then the offline data I have completed. So right now I'm connected to the internet. I only have one contact in here. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is kick myself off of the internet. So if I go back into my contact list here, it says error no internet connection. Data will update when connection is restored. So the first thing I'll show you is adding a contact. So I'll add myself here. So it says pending connection not found. Contact will be added when connection is restored. So I'll hit OK. So you can see in the list here it does populate. I can go all the way into it. I can click at it, and all that stuff happens. But this is done completely in an array that I store inside the app. There's no user yet inside the database, and if I refresh this here, you can see that it's still only George. But if I refresh the app, and the reason I'm doing this is because you can see here it says attempt at run eventually, command timed out, waiting 600 seconds, 5 tries remaining. So basically that means that the app isn't going to try again for 10 minutes to upload the data, which I feel is way too long. I think most people would think that the app or their phone is broken if they get a connection and it doesn't do anything for 10 minutes. So I googled and it's not changeable. Parse stated that it's not changeable, but I think they should change that because it needs to be like a shorter. I mean, even if we can't change it, it just needs to be shorter, in my opinion. So if I rerun the app here, it actually forces the data to go up. So you can see now Brandon and George are in there. And if I go to my database here, they're both in there. So the next thing I'll show is delete here really quick. So again, no internet connection. I'm going to delete George this time. So we'll click delete. George goes away. If I go back out or I refresh the list, you can see that George is definitely still not there, so it was erased from the array. So now we just need to make sure that when I restart the app again, George actually disappears. So let me go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I go back into contact list. Now you can just see Brandon. If I refresh this, George will be gone. George's gone. Alright, so now I will show you editing. So one more time, offline. You can see I'm offline. So I'll edit Brandon, and we'll just change this to John. Alright, so we click update. It says pending connection not found. Contact will be updated when connection is restored. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. So now it says John Shiga there, and then it says John Shiga there as well. Error no internet connection. So one last time, I'll reconnect back to the internet and then restart my app here. Oops. You can see now it says John, and if we check in here, it'll say John. Alright, so that's my app completion. Let me see where I'm at for time, and then I'll see if I can explain some of the code. Alright, I'm back. I have about a minute here to explain how kind of my code works. So in my query piece here, I check for the network status. If it's not reachable, I pull from my user defaults, and if it is, I do this function called query data. And here I get the list of objects that back from parse. I loop through all of them, and then I archive each one into an NS data, and then I store that into this mutable array, and then the array gets sent to the user defaults. And that's basically how I'm manipulating data on the offline side. So it's basically just an array that I either add objects to, or I delete objects from, or I change the object in the array. So anytime I edit or add or anything, basically I'm just unarchiving all those objects, putting them back into a mutable array, and then changing that array. The edit one was definitely by far the hardest. What I had to do was once the array was created, I had to loop through every object, and I passed in an object. That's the one that needs to be edited. And I just basically found where the names were the same. So if I have like an object of 4 things, and the second one happens to be the one that I'm editing, I get that index. I replace all the fields, like the values for the edited object, and then I replace it basically with itself. So I replace the old object with the new one, kind of. And then that's the new array. So, and then for saving, when you unarchive a PF object, it adds a bunch of fields like that are null that you're not using. So what I had to do was create a temporary object and transfer all the fields from the edited one to the temporary and save it. And since they have the same object ID, it'll overwrite it. I'm not 100% sure if that's how it's supposed to be done, but that's the only way I could figure it out without it keep throwing errors. But yeah, that's my video for this week, guys. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.